When the crown prince of the city's elite circle pursued me, he gave me BMWs and luxury villas. My best friend said, relying on a man is worse than relying on yourself. I believed her words, decisively rejected the crown prince, and returned all those gifts. Heartbroken, the crown prince went abroad and died in a conflict zone. As a result, I lived my whole life as an ordinary white-collar worker, working myself to death for a monthly salary of a few $1,000s. It wasn't until I fell seriously ill from overwork that my best friend said to me, "You were destined to soar, but who told you to be stupid enough to believe whatever I said? Seeing you living worse than me makes me feel balanced." As I spat blood in anger, she took the opportunity to pull my oxygen tube, letting me die in the hospital bed. Turns out, her words were never for my own good. After rebirth, looking at the crown prince who was about to buy me a luxury villa, I smiled sweetly. Let's date. Refusing money, I was indeed a fool in my past life. As for my best friend, I want her to be insanely jealous, but unable to do anything to me. Gardenia, Gigi, do you like this house? Julian King reached out to open the car door for me, pointing at the European-style villa in front of us, asking with a smile, his eyes full of joy expecting praise. "You want to give it to me?" I raised my head blankly, looking at the vivid Julian in front of me and my own fair and tender hands, realizing with hindsight that I had actually been reborn. Reborn to the time when I hadn't rejected Julian yet, and he hadn't gone abroad heartbroken and died in a conflict zone. At this moment, his smile was warm and gentle, like a ray of warm sun. The thing I regretted most in my past life wasn't rejecting the immense wealth, but regretting letting such a deeply affectionate person die abroad because of my rejection. It could be said he died because of me. I thought more than once, if I hadn't chosen to reject him back then, he wouldn't have died young abroad. Yes, this way you don't have to worry about being kicked out by the landlord every day. It's not a loan. I'll choose to pay in full so you have no worries, okay? Julian asked me cautiously, afraid I would be angry with him and ignore him. Actually, he didn't need to be so careful with me. He never owed me anything. Instead, I accepted his kindness again and again but refused to agree to be with him for a long time. Just because my best friend, Chloe Sue, would brainwash me under the banner of being for my own good every time Julian showed kindness to me. A rich young master like Julian can't be sincere to you. Relying on a man is worse than relying on yourself. Reject him. We want to be independent women. But in fact, I wasn't cut out to be an independent big woman at all. My knowledge and vision were too ordinary. In my past life, after rejecting him, I worked hard and down to earth for my career for 20 years. For this, I even chose not to marry, thinking that heaven rewards diligence, and my hard work would definitely pay off. But in the end, before I died, my salary was only $5,000 a month, and I worked myself into a body full of ailments. Because there are too many ordinary corporate workers like me, a dime a dozen. I could be replaced at any time. I wasn't cut out to be a heroine, but it's different with Julian. He thinks I'm special. He likes me. This villa he casually gave me is worth 8 figures. It's an existence where I couldn't even afford a toilet inside, even if I worked hard all my life. In my last life, I rejected his proposal and turned away, wasting his good intentions. So in my last life, 3 days later, I was kicked out of my rental because the landlord raised the price temporarily. I simply deserved it. But now, I accepted it generously. I accept. Thank you for your gift. I like it very much. I can finally say goodbye to the landlord's face that raises prices at any time. Seeing me accept his gift for the first time, Julian happily called the agent waiting aside. "Come here, bring the contract for her to sign. My secretary will transfer the money to your account in an hour." So a luxury house worth tens of millions was added to my name, and Julian didn't feel the pinch at all. During the meal, he told me, "I'm very happy you could accept my kindness. You know what? The location of this house is particularly good, and your neighbors are all very kind people. This villa really suits you perfectly. Living here in the future, I can work with more peace of mind, not worrying about you being troubled by the landlord at any time, and you don't need to have any psychological burden. Its existence is just a kind gift from me, not a bargaining chip for me to force you to be with me. You don't need to have any psychological burden. This villa was actually carefully selected by him. Such a good man. Only giving, not asking for return. I must have been blind and blind-hearted in my past life to listen to Chloe's words and push him away. I only thought Chloe was doing it for my own good at the time, never thinking that Chloe was jealous of me. Her own life was a mess, and she didn't want me to live a good life either. Actually, if she had good intentions back then, after I got together with Julian and lived a good life, I would definitely have helped her as a best friend. Originally, we could have gone up a level together, but she wanted to drag me into the mud with her. At this moment, my hatred for her reached its peak. I can't wait to see her break down. When Julian drove me downstairs to my rental apartment, he looked nervous. Can I go up and sit for a while? Just drink some water and leave. Heard that before meeting me, Julian was not good with words and had a bad childhood experience. Maybe because when he was an intern at the grassroots level of our company, I thought he was an ordinary employee and helped him when he was made difficult by other employees. He was very willing to contact me and very active. He is different from those men with many tricks. He said going up to drink water meant just drinking water and leaving. He didn't have those crooked intestines, bad intentions. He was satisfied just looking at me a few more times. This time I didn't reject him. Sure, just right for you to know the door. If possible, come help me move tomorrow morning. I want to move into the new home you gave me quickly. Julian didn't expect me, who was always polite but wary and distant towards him, to make exceptions for him again and again today. The raised corners of his mouth never came down. He followed me upstairs excitedly, chattering. You agree to let me help you move? What time tomorrow? 6 a.m. Too early? How about 8 a.m.? Need a moving company? I'll contact one. In the past, I would have disliked him being too attentive, but now I find his love-brained looks strangely cute. I thought about it and responded to him, 8.30. By then, I should have packed up. Julian quickly nodded and noted it down. Then, he really followed me back to the rental room, drank a cup of warm water, and left. I put a little osmanthus honey in that water, hoping he would have a sweet dream tonight. What made me feel very comfortable was that he didn't show a disgusted expression because my rental room was small throughout the whole process. He said, a girl coming out to strive on her own, being able to have such a small nest shows that I have worked very hard, quite good at comforting people. After he left, I pretended to call Chloe inadvertently. Julian said he wanted to give me a villa today. Do you think I should accept it? Chloe, who was still working overtime on Saturday over there, was extremely resentful. Of course don't accept it. Others will treat you as a gold digger if you do. Reject him. You must reject him fiercely. I pretended to be ignorant and nodded, okay. I originally thought if you like this villa, I could pass it on to you. Since you think this is more like gold digging, I'd better reject it. A house worth more than 10 million. Chloe, who originally wanted to persuade me to continue rejecting, seemed to be drinking water, and then she choked on the water. After coughing several times, she quickly asked me, how much did you say? A house worth more than 10 million could be a trap. Did he ask you to take a loan? Does decorations still need a large sum of money? That's a means to manipulate you. He wants to control you with money. I shook my head. I went to see the house in Cloud District, fully furnished. He said he paid in full. If you don't want it, forget it, I said, pretending to hang up the phone. Even Chloe, who was bent on persuading me to stay away from Julian, was severely moved when she heard about the villa worth 10 million. She shouted loudly to stop me. Don't hang up yet. Who said I don't want it? You are going to be self-improving in the future. Let me do this kind of gold-digging thing. You accept his kindness first, then immediately transfer the house to me. This way you can also maintain your persona of not vowing for money. But when did I ever want to set up some broken persona of not vowing for money? What is the meaning of living if not to make money? Didn't she always shout at me not to accept any gifts from Julian before? Why doesn't she shout at me not to rely on men but rely on myself at this time? Turns out she has always been a double-standard dog. That set of rhetoric before was just to fool me. Just because I was simple and easy to cheat, she wanted to destroy my bright and brilliant future? Really too vicious. How could I be so stupid back then to think she was thinking for me? I was simply stupid to death in my past life. Oh, Chloe, You're so right, I said into the phone, my voice dripping with fake admiration. You're always so willing to sacrifice yourself for my reputation. But the thing is, Julian said he'd only put the house in the name of the woman he loves. If I transfer it to you, he might get suspicious and take it back. How about this? I'll move in first and you can come over tomorrow to see it. It has 5 bedrooms, a home cinema, and a walk-in closet larger than our entire office floor. I could hear Chloe's breathing get heavy. The jealousy was practically radiating through the speaker. Tomorrow? But I have to work. Cancel it, I said smoothly. Isn't relying on yourself about having the freedom to choose? Choose to come see my new pool. I'll see you at 10 a.m. I hung up and started packing. In my past life, I spent 3 days agonizing over how to respectfully return his gifts. This time, I spent 30 minutes picking out which silk pajamas I'd wear for my first night in a bed that didn't have a spring poking into my ribs. The next morning at 8:30 a.m. sharp, Julian arrived. He wasn't alone. He had brought a professional packing team and a catering truck that was currently serving gourmet espresso to my bewildered neighbors. Gigi. Julian bounded up the stairs, looking like a golden retriever who had just been told he was going to the park. He grabbed my smallest suitcase, refusing to let the movers touch it. I didn't sleep at all. I kept thinking about which room you'd pick as your study. I reached out and adjusted his collar, a small gesture that made him freeze in absolute bliss. Any room is fine, Julian. As long as you come over for dinner sometimes. He looked like he might faint from joy. Every night. I mean, whenever you want. As we were loading the last of my things into his sleek black SUV, Chloe arrived. She looked like she'd crawled out of a swamp of resentment. Her hair was messy, and she was wearing a faded blazer that screamed, underpaid and overworked. She stopped dead when she saw Julian personally carrying my box of shoes. Gigi. Chloe stammered, her eyes darting between the luxury car and the doting billionaire. You signed the papers? But we talked about this. The independence. Oh, Chloe, I chirped, throwing my arms around her in a hug she clearly didn't want. I realized you were right. I shouldn't have a burden like a $10 million villa weighing down my soul. So Julian is going to help me carry the weight. Isn't he wonderful? Julian gave Chloe a polite, distant nod, the kind of look a king gives a pebble on the road. Nice to see you again, Miss Sue. Gigi, the car is ready. Chloe stood on the sidewalk, clutching her cheap handbag, as we drove away. Through the rearview mirror, I saw her face twist into a mask of pure, unadulterated fury. She had spent years keeping me in the mud, and in one morning, I had soared into the clouds. The villa was even better than I remembered. The floor-to-ceiling windows looked out over a private garden, and the air smelled of expensive lilies and success. Julian was hovering, showing me how the smart home system worked. If you press this, the blinds close. This one starts the heated floors in the bathroom. And I had the kitchen stocked with your favorite honey. Julian, I said, stopping him. I took his hands in mine. Thank you. Truly. He blushed, looking down at our joined hands. I just want you to be happy, Gigi. I don't want anything else. I know you don't, I whispered. And that's why you're getting everything. At 10 a.m., the doorbell rang. It was Chloe. I had left the gates open just so she could walk up the long, winding driveway and feel every inch of the wealth she had tried to keep from me. I met her at the door, holding a glass of chilled champagne. Come in. Don't be shy. Julian is in the garden setting up the grill. Chloe walked in, her eyes roving over the Italian marble and the crystal chandeliers. She looked like she wanted to vomit from envy. It's a lot of maintenance, Gigi. You'll be a slave to this house. You'll have to spend all your time cleaning. Oh, Julian hired a full-time housekeeping staff, I interrupted, leading her into the walk-in closet. Look at this, Chloe. He bought out the entire spring collection from that boutique we used to window shop at. Remember when you told me that buying a $50 dress was frivolous? I pulled out a $3,000 silk gown and draped it over her arm. Here. You can have this one. It's a bit too independent woman for my new lifestyle. Chloe's fingers shook as she touched the fabric. Gigi, you're changing. You're becoming one of them. I'm becoming comfortable, Chloe, I said, leaning in close to her ear. And since you're so worried about my soul, I've decided to help you with yours. I told Julian's father about your extraordinary work ethic at our company. He owns the firm, you know. He was so impressed by my best friend that he decided to give you a promotion. Chloe's eyes lit up with a spark of greed. Really? A promotion? Yes, I smiled. He's transferring you to the regional branch in the Northern Mountains. It's a very independent position. No luxury, no distractions, just hard work and a few $1,000s a month. Exactly what you said I was destined for, right? The color drained from her face. The mountains were a 12-hour drive away, a cold, isolated place where careers went to die. You can't do that, she shrieked. I didn't do anything, I said, sipping my champagne. Julian's father made the call. He doesn't like people who distract his son's future wife. And since I'm moving into this villa, I won't be around to rely on you anymore. You're free, Chloe. Just like you wanted. By the end of the week, Chloe was packed and crying, heading to a bus station for her new, independent life. She called me a dozen times, begging me to tell Julian to stop the transfer. I blocked her number. Julian and I sat on the terrace of the villa, watching the sunset. He had his arm around me, and for the first time in 2 lifetimes, I felt completely safe. Gigi, he said softly, I was thinking the villa is nice, but it's missing something. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. Inside was a diamond so bright it looked like it had been carved from a star. I don't want to just give you houses, he said, his voice trembling. I want to give you my name. I want to spend the next 80 years making sure you never have to strive for anything ever again. I looked at the ring, then at the man who had died for me in a past life, because I was too stupid to see his heart. I didn't hesitate. I didn't think about gold digging or independence. Yes, I said, pulling him into a kiss. Yes, Julian. I'll marry you. As he slipped the ring onto my finger, I thought of Chloe, sitting in a cold, dusty office in the mountains, working herself to death for a paycheck that wouldn't cover the cost of my new shoes. She wanted me to be balanced with her? Sorry, Chloe. The scales have tipped, and I'm never coming down.